to also step in. And if all these processes fails, then I think that if these students are ready, together with the MP, we are also ready to support them, at least to go to court for the court to determine as to whether WAEC can decide as and when our children should write exams.
Let me bring in Paco now. Paco, I mean, before we come to your substantive case, do you think at least the fact that they've been giving some respite that they can write in February next year should suffice?
Well, good afternoon to your viewers, and thank you for having me. We from the PPP believe that we need to really rework our educational system, because as it stands today, a lot of people are denied the opportunity to pursue their dreams and goals because of some of these challenges. And I mean, if you put what we are told in Bumprogu aside, there are critical issues that deserve attention. Look, there are many schools. If you take Tatali, for example, there are over 167 communities without electricity. So how do you expect children from such areas to write an exams and pass? We know of areas where children have to walk long distances in search of water before they go to school. And so we think that this whole BEC thing would
come to that call. Do you think that where it stands now, we should review the laws regarding the whole BEC, looking at the fact that, one, WAEC tells us that there are only two reasons for which they would review their laws to allow people to write. One is if there's a natural disaster, and then two, if there is a conflict. And it's interesting that these two things have played out, that at one place the natural disaster, at another place the chieftaincy misunderstanding. So do you think there should be a review to get them to reconsider the position?
For me, I don't think that we should just give, we should make it as if it is WAEC that need to take that decision. You know, the system must compel them to do that. Okay. You know, so it is not up to them to decide in their boardroom that, okay, we are extending the exam for children to write maybe next year and all that. They are providing service. And they are providing service for children that the law provides that whatever we do as a nation, their interest should be paramount. So the question that we also need to ask is the administrative decision of WAEC, is it in the best interest of these 200 children? If not, then they have to see how best they can arrange for the children to be part of these sets that will be going to the SHS, because we also know that we have a policy now. Now the free compulsory basic education will be extended to secondary school level. So clearly these children are also part of this thing that they have to enjoy once they pass. So you cannot fail them.
Right.
You cannot decide, WAEC cannot decide to say that they want to fail them. So whatever WAEC needs to take to allow these 200 children to write the exams, they have to do it.
Paco, the PPP thinks we should scrap this whole BEC program. Why so?
Well, from where I started, clearly there are issues with water, issues with electricity. I mean, so many problems. Even the UNICEF has told us that if you take 1 out of 5 children, they are stunted because they are not getting the right nutrition. And you know the role nutrition has on the human mind. And so if you put all these problems aside, let's take the exams they write, the WASI at that lower level. Look, WAEC uses a grading system called the Star9 grading system. And that system determines the number of children who should pass in a given year. And does this still make sense to somebody? That a group of people sit somewhere and they determine the fate of other children. Where does this thing work, apart from West Africa? What is the solution? The solution is for us to use a continuous assessment. If a child finishes class 6, he quickly moves on to GSS1. Is that not the case here? So why is it that from GSS3 to SS1, they must go through this torture? There should be at least some level of assessment before they can come to the secondary level. The level of assessment, a mass entrance into secondary school, which is not possible. But what is wrong if there is mass entrance into secondary school? What is wrong with that? Everywhere you go. Wouldn't you then later be saying the same system should then be employed when you finish SS and you're going to the university? There should be mass entrance. You see, that is why I gave a premise for this discussion. At the basic level. You cannot deny people the right to electricity, the right to water, and so on and so forth. And when they fail, then you deny them the right to secondary.
Would you?
It doesn't work.
Wouldn't you?
So until we are able to standardize our educational system facility, that children in deprived areas have electricity, have water, and all that, then we can say they should all write the same.
Wouldn't that be a more
exams.
appropriate call that we should check maybe region-based or district-based systems they have, how they can write these the education, the exams, and then reconsider for every district there's a standard they have to qualify a move on, rather than a general cancellation of the
We
BEC.
should scrap it because the system is discriminatory, as I've indicated to you. WAEC uses the standard grading system that do not allow children. I mean, we have used this system for the past how many years? Over 20 years. This was BEC. And every year, half of the children fail. Half.
What do you think about this?
We should ask ourselves, why are children failing?
Yeah,
half of them.
Well, I think that the current system that we have, you expect that you would want children to sit for exams and all that. And then the number of children that we also turn out every year. For instance, every year we get almost about 400,000 children to write exams and all that. And then the facilities that we have at the secondary school level will not be enough to accommodate these children. So these are issues that, for me, if we really want to scrap things, then we should be looking at addressing, because there are fundamental issues that we have to deal with before we introduce certain policies. For instance, now we are redefining basic education to include secondary education. So we suggest that if you are redefining it, we suggest that even that exam that we have as a barrier should not be in place for the first place. It should not even be there at all. But because of difficulties with infrastructure, you know, the system is trying to be smart to lean on some of these things to do what they want to do. So there are difficulties, and I think that the engagement must still be going, so that at least I'm hoping that one day we'll get there.
We'll have a broader conversation on this. Unfortunately, because of time, I would have to leave it here. But I'm sure it's a debate that will go on for now. No, Paco, we'll have to leave it here. Certainly in our subsequent bulletins, we'll see how we can broaden the discussion or the debate to get government's position on it as well. We would also like to know what you think, the viewer. I'm sure you have a word or two who are either writing or are yet to write. I would want to know what you think about this, you know, in our subsequent bulletins. We'll put it that to the rest of the world. Thank you very much, Brighter Pierre. My extreme left, he's with the Child's Rights International Executive Director, and then also Paco Akon with the Progressive People's Party. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's stay with issues relating to youth education and all of that. The Youth Employment Agency says it has uncovered over 20 million cedis fraudulent payments to some beneficiaries in 216 districts across the country. The agency also says some 2,716 beneficiaries who had no appointment letters were paid over 3 million cedis from February 2017, between February and May 2017. Chief Executive of the agency, Justice Frimpong, has been speaking to the media on the work of its internal audit committee, which carried out the work.
Was bequeathed with about 63,000 beneficiaries across the country. Upon a cursory audit of this figure, in respect of the payroll system, we observe a number of discrepancies. For instance, the January payroll which was submitted to us for approval included arrears to some beneficiaries as far back as May 2016. We also observed that 2,999 beneficiaries had vacated their posts but continued to draw allowance. In view of these abnormalities, the agency suspended the payment of beneficiary allowance in order to conduct a comprehensive audit into the beneficiary payroll. This decision was duly communicated to the beneficiaries and the general public via a statement issued by the management on February 19, 2017. The deletion of the 2,999 beneficiaries from the payroll saved the nation as much as 4,270,800 Ghana cedis for the 4-month duration, that is from February to May this year. In effect, for each month, the taxpayer will save an amount of 1,067,000 2,700 Ghana cedis, which would have gone into wrong hands. Management, in consultation with the sector ministry, have resolved to strengthen the internal control mechanism, including introduction of a pre-monthly validation policy before payments. We have also engaged more monetary assistance for this purpose. Management has further decided that all payments must pass through the internal audit unit for pre-auditing before same is effected. In our quest to position the agency to effectively perform its core mandate and to avoid future occurrence of the aforementioned challenges, the agency is embarking on staff movements within departments, units, districts, and regions to make sure that we effectively perform our duties, so that in areas where staffs are overstaffed or understaffed, there will be a balance to make sure that the Youth Employment Agency, as a public service agency, duly perform its functions.
All right, so this is still Midday Live on TV3, and we are turning our attention to one other story. The headline we brought to you that has to do with her leadership, Chief Justice Asiedu-Dartey Wood, who is in her last day as the Chief Justice of the Republic. She is an illustrious daughter of the land, and we just want to congratulate her and bring you a piece, and then also take you a step back to some of her achievements and what she has done whilst in office. So it's almost 10 years since she took office as Ghana's first female Chief Justice. On Tuesday, June 6, 2017, a Thanksgiving service was held in her honor at the Holy Trinity Cathedral Church in Accra. Justice Georgina Theodora Wood will be replaced by Justice Sophia A.B. Akufo, who was appointed by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the next Chief Justice. Let's take you through her career as Ghana's first female Chief Justice. And there she is in the picture, a very beautiful woman. She worked with the Ghana Police Service as a deputy superintendent and public prosecutor for 3 years. That's how her career took off. She joined the judicial service as a district magistrate in 1974 and rose through the ranks, the circuit court, and then later to the high court to become the presiding judge of the appeals court, and that took place in 1991. She was appointed to the Supreme Court by former President John Agyekum Kufuor in 2002, specifically the 12th of November. That was when she became a Supreme Court judge. Then was later nominated for the position of Chief Justice in May 2007. That is 5 years after she was in the Supreme Court. She was appointed or nominated to become the Chief Justice. On the 1st of June in 2007, Parliament, by consensus, approved her nomination as the new Chief Justice of the land. And many have said that's a cap in the feather of the former President Kufuor's administration to have named the first female Chief Justice. So still on her career record, she assumed office as the Chief Justice in June 2007, specifically the 15th of June. And since taking office, she has sworn in 3 presidents. And they are former President John Evans Atta Mills, that was in January 2009, who took over from former President Kufuor, who appointed him. And then also John Dramani Mahama in July in 2012, and then also in January 2013. And then also the current President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, well, she swore him in on the 7th of January 2017. So that's a very beautiful career for the Chief Justice, whose last day is today in office. And you would recall that the President has also given the name of the incoming Chief Justice to Parliament for onward approval, and she would also be taking over from Madam Theodora Georgina Wood. Congratulations to her, and we say a big thank you to her as a country for her service. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's turn our attention to one other headline. We're looking for we are looking at for you, that has to do with the tourism minister who was in Parliament, and that is Madam Catherine Afeku. She has denied reports that in the invisible forces, that's those loyal to the NPP, were in charge of the Kintampo waterfalls when the accident occurred, killing some students and others who were there as revelers. She was answering questions on the floor of Parliament. That was where she raised this concern.
The minister said the reports of the committee investigating the accident will soon be made public. Answering questions from MPs, Catherine Afeku said at the time the incident happened, the Municipal Assembly was in charge of security at the fall, debunking reports that invincible forces had taken over the place. Minister of Communication Esla Owusu-Ekufo was also in the House to answer questions on steps the ministry is taking to improve telecommunication connectivity in less privileged communities.
3 out of the 6 mobile network service providers operating in Ghana have full 2G and 3G services in Adapu. The other 3 service providers, namely Airtel, Glo and Kasapa, have been directed by the National Communications Authority to provide coverage at Adapu and its surrounding environs within 6 months or be sanctioned.
What is the time frame for this objective, especially in Issa, which is the district capital for Datemabuse Issa district in the Upper West region?
They are not giving any specific time frame within which to do that, but they work with the National Communications Authority to achieve that. And so when they bring their rollout plan and it is not adequate, and then they can work with them and work with the GIFEC as well to also ensure that they meet those obligations.
That is actually Madam Gloria Ekufo. I beg your pardon. That story is actually Esla Owusu-Ekufo. She's communications minister, and that story is actually different from what we are talking about. So we are going to Skype to speak with someone who has followed issues regarding public safety for years, and we want to put a few questions to her regarding what the sector minister said, Madam Catherine Afeku. When she presented the report to Parliament, she said that the invisible forces were not in charge of the facility when the disaster took place, and many have raised questions about that. But we want to look at the safety of our tourist attraction centers in general, and whether or not we should just take it as she has told us. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us, if you can hear me.
Yeah, good afternoon, Martin, and good afternoon to your viewers.
To start with, I mean, there are those who say that in as much as we need to pay attention to ourselves in terms of safety, and then also paying attention to issues regarding wherever we go, what do you make of the report from the minister saying that due diligence was done before the disaster occurred?
Thank you very much, Martin. I think it's important that we put out here in the public domain that as an entity, the Bureau of Public Safety, we have not a copy of the report. And so it's a bit difficult speaking to snippets of information that have been thrown out by the minister and other members of the government. Nonetheless, if you indulge me, we like to say that now that they have made plans to open up the place on the 1st of September, we have a couple of things that we'd like to share with the public, that we are hopeful that when the place is open up, we'll get to see these things in place.
Right, and she also indicated that it was an act of God, and that's a quote, it was an act of God. And with those words, do you think she's belittling the effect or the impact this has had on families and other revelers who might want to go to tourist attraction sites in the country?
Well, safety investigation reports have aspects that are usually crafted in technical lingua. And so I strictly want to believe that it's the minister's interpretation of the full report. I do not see, a safety report that, an investigation report that will come out with just a single factor as being the cause of the accident. There are always several factors, and for her to suggest that it was an act of God, and for that matter, we should all go to sleep, if that is really what she said, it's rather unfortunate. I do not think that the committee that set up would, as it were, pay tribute to their own credentials in this manner. I believe that there are other factors that contributed to Kintampo, and it's important that the report captures all those factors so that we can avert ourselves to these factors and address them accordingly. So that said, we want to say that the minister should do something different from what we have seen in times past regarding governments and how they shelve these reports. They keep them in their bosom. They do not share with the Ghanaian people. We hope that the minister this time around will share these reports with the people. We don't have to wait like we did for the June 3rd report. We had it 18 good months after the report was submitted.
Right.
And even that one was not official. We had to intercept it. And so it's important that she puts out this report so that we can delve into it. We can help in making our tourist sites safer. Because if she makes it available, we all know, and we can all look out for the recommendations when we visit there and other places.
All right. All right, Nanaya Akwada, we are grateful for your time and thank you very much for sharing your insights with us. Nanaya Akwada is Executive Director for the Bureau of Public Safety. And we actually hit the streets also to speak to a few Ghanaians on the report is not out yet. Let me place that on record. The report is not out yet, but what we have is what the minister told the House of Parliament yesterday, and we're actually using her words to judge whether or not due diligence was done. But we hit the streets of Accra to ask whether or not they thought that the responses from the minister was okay. This is what they had to say.
Findings from investigations into the causes of the Kintampo waterfall disaster that claimed 19 lives of some students who had gone there for an excursion has concluded that the incident was an act of God, among other contributing factors, which include human activities that had destroyed the environment. What do you think?
It might be a natural effect, but then we as humans have to be proactive. We have to be proactive because even during floods per se, we take certain measures as humans in order to prevent these floods from happening. So over there today, there could be some proactive measures they could have taken so that such a disaster couldn't have happened.
Ghana itself seems not to be ready for a lot of things. We have just taken it upon ourselves to give facade to certain issues. We say we have tourism, and tourism doesn't seem to be anything we are taking serious. Any tourist center should be well prepared. Road networks, facilities like new technologies and others to help others know. And apart from that, there should be warning boldly written about 1 kilometer to the spot that A, B, C, D do, X, Y, Z don't. But it seems we just want to collect money from innocent or unknowing citizens. They come around, you collect the money, you are happy you're making money, but no improvement in the area or at the site.
I would suggest that as concerned citizens of Ghana, we have to always take proactive measures instead of reactive measures. You know, in solving some of our problems, if not all.
The people who are put in charge, they should try and do their best to see that things get better. They get it. Sometimes the laws are there, but we don't enforce them.
So Ghana, we need to do proper survey of all our tourist sites. See what are the needs of the tourist site before we allow the public to come there. If we are not ready, then it's better we put a stop for visits to those sites.
Okay, so let's turn our attention to something else that concerns all of us that has to do with flooding. And you would recall that Tuesday dawn, there was a downpour in parts of the capital, and in a specific area called Community 18, Cambodia, lots of residents were trapped in their homes, and as we speak, we are told the water levels have receded marginally, and so most of them still have their property in the water. So we just want to bring you a short playback of what happened there. Then we can start the conversation on how, as a country, we are planning towards future rains and what we can do to avert flooding in the capital especially. Watch this.
The rains are here again, exposing poor drainage and buildings sited in flood-prone areas and waterways. More than 20 homes here at Community 8 in Cambodia, water has still flooded their homes. Some are at the lintel level, some at the window level, some had to scale the wall, others had to wade descend through this ladder before I go through the water and speak to the family. They have not had a good sleep since 2 a.m. So we'll be speaking to the owner of this house to tell us exactly what happened here Monday dawn.
We've been awake trying to save our lives and some of our properties.
Elikem had to skip school today because of the situation. Unlike this family, several people in the neighborhood had to be rescued by NADMO and the police.
This place used to be a river. 2 years ago, somebody decided to come and fill it up and use the place for a shopping mall. So he filled the water all the way beyond that container. And since then, anytime it rains, this place gets flooded. So last night or this dawn, it started raining. And by 5 o'clock, more than 40 houses here got flooded. For me and my daughter, the police had to rescue us from my building.
Those who stayed in their homes were seen scooping water from their rooms.
We are going to stop whoever, whether what kind of document he has, because you cannot build in the river place. These are the problems. It happens and people die just like that.
All the walls he has put here to block the water, we are going to pull it down and make sure the residents of this area have some peace. We can't continue with this. This is illegality and it is indiscipline.
Flood-prone areas dotted in the Tema metropolis include Community 17, 18, 5, 2, Bong and parts of Ashaiman. 2 residents reported that they had electrical shock during the downpour. According to them, this is the second time that this has happened to people who live here. But for how long can they continue to endure flooding in these areas? Josephine Frimpong, TV3 News, Community 18, Cambodia.
Right, that's a report by Josephine Frimpong. Let's get into the conversation now. This is like a yearly development, as the same story we hear year in, year out. And is it that we are refusing to think as a people, or there are things that are simply beyond our control? We've been joined in studio by the president of the Ghana Institute of Planners, in the person of Alfred Kwesi Opoku. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir, for being here.
Yeah, this seemed to be a yearly ritual, and it seemed to have rendered institutions like the Town and Country Planning and other key agencies in charge of these things useless or necessarily not needed, ineffective. What is your position on it?
Thank you very much. If you saw what the men themselves are saying, that whatever document he has, it will interest you to know that not every building in Accra here has a permit. Some of them may have just submitted their papers, and while waiting for documentation, they go ahead and build. And whoever they collaborate with, at the moment, you cannot do that at the Town and Country Planning Office because measures have been taken. And so people would always find a way of finding their way to getting something illegally done. And so it's surprising, we could follow up, pick their paper, whoever is developing, and go back to Town and Country Planning and check who signed the document for him and whether actually he's been permitted to build at all.
Where are we losing it as a people? Is it that the Town and Country people, Town and Country Planning people do not go to these sites to check before the documentation is given?
They do. Last year, for example, a certain number of documents that were submitted for permit, about 73% of them went through. There's a committee that goes there and check the town country, we have a statutory planning committee. They go to the site, engineers, fire service, the planning themselves, planning staff themselves. They go to every site to check. And as at now, even before you come and submit your document, there's a pre-information document we give to you. While you are bringing your papers, bring this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so if you submit all these things within your final jacket, it shouldn't take you 3 months to have your document. And so people whose document have not been permitted yet means that they have a problem with it. The team goes there and some will come and challenge. And while the challenge is going on, they find a way and start building.
I'm at a loss. Why would we still have people building on waterway? We still have structures there, and we have a town and country plan. And you say they do go check before?
They do. Town and country planning. Let me give you something I've been saying all over again. 3 years or 4 years back, Mayor Oko van der Poel, Dr. Van der Poel, asked town and country plan to go and count the number of houses in public ways. We counted 900 of them.
900 houses.
And then we served them notice by the authority that all of you come and submit your papers to show that you have a permit. None of them came at the time giving. And so Oko went forward and started demolishing 300 of them. At that stage, the remaining 6 went to court, and there was an injunction on that, and the whole Ghanaian community said, let there be human face and all that. And then the matter stopped. And so town country planning will give a technical document, but the enforcement lie with the political authority, who would say that no, you don't have a permit and will not allow you to build.
Okay. Certainly in our subsequent bulletins, we would extend this debate further, but I would want to say a big thank you to Alfred Kwesi Opoku.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the world of business. In our very first story, leadership of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association CLOGSAG is to file a legal suit against the Ministry of Finance for failing to restore the names of civil servants who were deleted from government payroll. The Executive Secretary Isaac Bampo-Addo said the association will be praying the courts to compel the Ministry of Finance to restore the names and pay all outstanding salaries of those members from April till date.
The Ministry of Finance instructed public sector workers to register with SNIT's biometric registration before they would be paid. However, after most of them had gone through the exercise, the Controller and Accountant General is yet to pay the workers. Currently, the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, has apologized to the civil and public servants whose names have been deleted because of the exercise. 2 months after the apology, some members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association CLOGSAG say they have still not received their salaries. One of the members who works with the Regional Coordinating Council in WA said the Controller and Accountant General in the region has not been able to resolve their problems. Currently, he has submitted a list of those affected in the region to Accra for their names to be restored.
A civil servant whose salary cannot even take him up to a week. When the salary is even coming, it can't even take you up to a week. How do you live 2 solid months feeding you and your family on this situation? It's very, very frustrating.
The senior accountant with CLOGSAG also lamented that for the past 2 months, he has not been paid, although he has the Senate registration.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Midday Live here on TV3. My name is Anako Jafre with the sports updates for you. Let's get into the details. And 25 Black Stars players are in camp for Sunday's 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Ethiopia. Columbus Crews Harrison Afful and centre-back Jeria Kaminko joined the team's training session on Tuesday at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Kamiko joins the team for the first time since he suffered a career-threatening injury in May 2014. Draco team dominated by ex-internationals has given the Black Stars a unique Ghanaian flavor, and those involved are determined to make it count on the field, as Dora Bedue champion discovered.
There's a huge throwback feeling about the Black Stars technical team these days. Kwesi Appiah, the boss and left back from the 80s and 90s, supervises the team that includes former teammates Richard Kinson, Stephen Appiah and Ibrahim Tanko. It has proved a hugely popular move. Ex-Black Stars players who know and understand the team dynamics in charge of the Black Stars. Take goalkeeper Richard Kinson as an example. He earned 90 caps for Ghana, played in 2 World Cups and 3 Nations Cups. These days, he is responsible for training the goalkeepers and is thrilled with the new role.
It gives me a lot of joy. It's something that is in me, and I always like to do, to train the young ones, to impact what I have experienced as a goalkeeper.
Ibrahim Tanko has nothing on Richard Kinson in terms of international caps. The former Dortmund star played only 9 times for Ghana, including at the 1996 Nations Cup. But he has climbed the coaching ladder pretty fast, working as an assistant coach in Germany, Japan, and with the Cameroonian national team. Now he hopes all that experience will prove vital as he assists Kwesi Appiah through his latest tenure.
In my experience, I learned a lot when I was away, and fortunately enough, I know the new coach very well, so I'll team up with him and bring the Ghana football back again.
There's a feeling that the experience in the backroom staff can lift the Black Stars to greater heights again. Kwesi Appiah will be hoping that is the case.
Still on the Black Stars, it is a rare story in an era when most footballers are thought of as fully professional. But as the Black Stars prepare for the 2019 Nations Cup qualifier, they have in their midst a policeman who is living his dream of a footballer too. Our Kumasi correspondent Benjamin Adu caught up with him after training at the Babaya Sports Stadium.
1 year ago, Samuel Safo was working regular duties as a policeman and protecting members of the Black Stars as they prepared for an international game. He took the opportunity for a picture, including this one with Emmanuel Ajiman Bedu. This Sunday, Bedu will watch the Black Stars from home. Safo will be on that team bus, in the dressing room and possibly on the pitch, not in a police uniform on guard duties, but in the Black Stars shirts. Safo still combines his duties as a policeman with his football as captain of the Ghana Premier League side Liberty Professionals, and says the common denominator is that all is service to the nation.
Today I'm in a different attire, defending the nation. So I think my focus now is to see Ghana, to the next level. Not as in being a guardsman now or a man on duty, but using my feet to defend the flag of Ghana.
But Safo knows playing with the Black Stars is slightly different. He acknowledges he has had to pinch himself sometimes about the company he has been in this week, but is determined to make the most of it.
It's been great, meeting the likes of Asamoah and the rest. It's been spectacular. So we're hoping that at least come Sunday we will be able to deliver.
There's a quick update from the French Open, and Rafa Nadal is through to the semi-final. He will face Dominic Thiem, who knocked out Novak Djokovic. That's all the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Asiedu-Dartey.
In entertainment news this afternoon, businessman Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum has been awarded the overall business award of the year at the 2017 edition of the Guba Awards. The award, which is giving on merit, honored the founder of the PPP for his effort in curbing unemployment.
Dr. Indom, in his acceptance statement, admonished Ghanaians to use an all-hands-on-deck approach to make the economy sustainable. At the event, Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Catherine Abelema Afeku, announced music duo Reggie and Bolly as nominees for Tourism Ambassadors for Europe. CEO of the scheme, Dental Martin, explained the award has been impactful over the years and was optimistic that more people would be inspired. Celebrated Ghanaian actress Lydia Forson observed that the event was a platform for networking. To add a twist to the activities, Afro-pop artist Riala gave an energetic performance to entertain guests.
The Guba Awards celebrates Ghanaians living in the UK who are doing amazing works and doing fantastic works in promoting development.
All right, so that'll be it for the bulletin. It came your way from our studio here at Adesanwe. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive.